As we gear up for the next E. Jean Carroll defamation trial, which is set to start in just a few weeks in January, Donald Trump has spent the entire morning attacking E. Jean Carroll over and over again. You can see right here the posts that Donald Trump has been making all morning. This is all he has been doing. He did two other posts that I'll talk about soon that were unrelated to this, but this is Donald Trump's entire morning. And let's be clear. Donald Trump has been found already by a federal jury and by a judge, a federal judge, to have engaged in sexual abuse, which the judge clarified is the same as rape, in a federal civil lawsuit already filed by E. Jean Carroll, and a jury awarded E. Jean Carroll $5 million after reaching a verdict back in May. So now Donald Trump is spending the entire morning, this is the leader of the Republican Party, spending the entire morning harassing, attacking, demeaning, and defaming an individual who he was found to have raped. That is the leader of the Republican Party in 2024. So yesterday, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals made this ruling, and this is one of the reasons that Donald Trump is cycling into this right now, although there's absolutely zero justification for this behavior, this abhorrent behavior. The Second Circuit states that appellant Donald Trump filed an application contained within the pending petition for rehearing or rehearing en banc to stay the district court proceedings, and it is hereby ordered that the application is denied. So the Second Circuit, you'll recall, previously made an order back on December 13th, affirming the district court's order that Donald Trump and his lawyers have waived the affirmative defense of absolute presidential immunity. Why did they waive it? So that the Second Circuit and the district court did not even have to get into the merits about whether Donald Trump's defamatory statements about E. Jean Carroll in 2019 constituted outer perimeter conduct of the executive branch, which again, I think it absolutely isn't, but they didn't even have to get into that analysis because it was waived because Donald Trump and his lawyers failed to assert the defense of absolute presidential immunity as an affirmative defense. Here's what the Second Circuit states. Whether defendant Donald Trump waived presidential immunity, this is from their December 13th order, and it says, having determined that presidential immunity is waivable, we reach the question, did defendant Donald Trump waive his presidential immunity defense? We hold that he did. Defendant filed his answer to plaintiffs E. Jean Carroll's original complaint in New York State Court in January 2020, but the answer did not invoke presidential immunity. Pause there for a second. Do you know how easy it is for Donald Trump to have asserted absolute presidential immunity as an affirmative defense if his lawyers were halfway competent? All you have to do is say in your pleading paper, defendant Donald Trump hereby asserts absolute presidential immunity as an affirmative defense. That one sentence, literally just put that one sentence and you have not waived it. But Donald Trump and his lawyers did not do that. It says, the district court thus determined that defendant waived this defense, holding the defendant does not challenge in this appeal. Indeed, defendant's counsel concedes at oral argument that assuming the defense of presidential immunity is waivable, defendant had waived the defense. And the Second Circuit goes on to say, first, defendant unduly delayed in raising presidential immunity as a defense. 3 years passed. I'm reading from the court opinion. 3 years passed between defendant's answer and his request for leave to amend his answer. A 3-year delay is more than enough under our precedent to qualify as undue, and defendant's excuse for not timely raising the defense that the question of whether the Westfall Act immunized defendant was pending in the district court and the District of Columbia is unpersuasive. So you have right there, Donald, the court saying, yeah, you didn't do this for 3 years. Why are you whining to us? Similarly, one of the reasons that Donald Trump is ranting and raving all morning, like you see in those posts, is that last week, the district court, federal judge Kaplan, rejected Donald Trump's attempt at the last minute to bring in an expert on damages on behalf of Trump that was never previously disclosed. And the district court judge, the federal judge, also rejected Donald Trump's motion to try to strike or exclude the expert on behalf of E. Jean Carroll, Professor Humphreys from Northwestern University. And again, what the judge is saying is you missed the basic deadlines here as it relates to Donald Trump trying to add his expert at the 11th hour right before trial. The judge explained first, as the court had already pointed out, defendant's lack of an expert witness at this point is entirely a product of his own doing. Defendant knew in March of 2023 that the prior expert, his original expert from the other defamation case, had already been foreclosed as a witness, yet Donald Trump took no action. And similarly, with respect to Trump's request to try to exclude E. Jean Carroll's expert, Professor Humphreys, Judge Kaplan, the federal judge presiding over the defamation case in January, states the deadline for filing in limine motions to exclude, in this case was February 16th, 2023. This in limine motion to try to exclude Professor Humphreys, E. Jean Carroll's expert, is 10 months too late. And so now you have Donald Trump spending all day because he knows that he's got trial coming up in a few weeks. According to Maggie Haberman, Trump says he's going to show up, but we've heard that before. Remember what happened at the other trial, by the way, the other E. Jean Carroll trial, where Donald Trump literally fled the country? He went to Ireland and Scotland and claimed he was building something. And then he lied and said, like he always lies, and says, yeah, I'm going to come back. I'm going to confront that woman. Do you remember when Trump said that during the other E. Jean Carroll trial that Trump lost in May? Here, play this clip of Donald Trump while he says that he goes, I'm going to confront this woman while he's in Scotland. And he says, I'm going to return, but he doesn't. Here, play this clip.
You have to leave early. I don't have to, but I choose to.
Will you attend the trial, Mr. President?
I'll probably attend, and I think it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace that it's allowed to happen. It's called false accusations against a rich guy, or in my case, against a famous, rich, and political person that's leading the polls by 40 points. And I have to go back for a woman that made a false accusation about me, and I have a judge who's extremely hostile. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to confront this woman. This woman is a disgrace, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen in our country.
And so if you just take a look at these posts that Donald Trump's been making this morning, he's posting videos of the victim who he has been found liable to have sexually abused and raped. He's posting things like that she says, like she wrote in 2016, how do you see yourself dying? In an avalanche, wearing your pants too tight, being devoured by critics? And Donald Trump is like posting that. I mean, just think about the level of harassment from this individual. He posts a statement that she made back from 2010, where she wrote this on May 7th, 2010, she wrote, sex tip I learned from my dog. When in heat, chase the male until he collapses with exhaustion, then jump him. And so a joking, humorous post that she made in 2010, the man who has been found liable for rape is posting her material from 2010. He goes on to post things like that, it's harassment. I mean, the reality is she should get like a restraining order against him from harassing her. I mean, I think that's probably what she should do, get a restraining order preventing him from saying things like this because he's been found to have raped her. Here, Donald Trump, and by the way, here's what we said back in May, that when Donald Trump was found liable for sexual abuse, and then he did that so-called CNN town hall. You remember he did that? We said that that was then going to become evidence in the next defamation case. So remember, the May defamation case, just in case you're confused, I thought there was an E. Jean Carroll case. There was the May trial, which was on E. Jean Carroll's claims of rape and sexual abuse based on the New York Adult Survivors Act, which revived the statute of limitations for her claim and other claims of sexual abuse in New York for other victims for a 1-year period. And then she also sued for defamation based on statements Trump made in October of 2022. That went to trial first. On the other hand, you had the first E. Jean Carroll case that she filed was stuck in a bunch of other appeals, but she filed the other case in 2019. It was removed to federal court in 2020, and that's the one where Donald Trump never asserted absolute presidential immunity as an affirmative defense, and that is the case where Donald Trump made the defamatory statements while he was in office. So now the first case E. Jean Carroll filed is now the case that's going to trial second, in case you were just a little bit confused about that. So then after E. Jean Carroll prevailed in the first trial, Donald Trump did that so-called CNN town hall and said stuff like this that we knew was going to be an exhibit at this trial. Here, play this clip.
I have no idea who the hell. She's a
Mr.
whack
President,
job.
you did not testify in person.
And then Donald Trump also said this about E. Jean Carroll's cat. So for somebody who claims not to know her, seems like you do. Here, play this clip.
Her dog or her cat was named Vagina. The judge wasn't allowed to put that in. All of these things, but with her, they could put in anything. Access,
this
Hollywood.
This was a jury of 9 people who found you liable of sexual abuse. Do you think that will deter women from voting for you?
No, I don't think so, because I think the whole thing, just so you understand, ready? I never met this woman. I never saw this woman. This woman said, I met her at the front door of Bergdorf Goodman, which I read.
And on the point that it seems like, yeah, you absolutely do know her. This was deposition testimony taken in the E. Jean Carroll case. Let me just show you Donald Trump's own words so you can see it for yourself. Here, Donald Trump confuses E. Jean Carroll with his ex-wife, Marla Maples. So in the deposition, Donald Trump says E. Jean Carroll was not his type. That's his defense why he couldn't have sexually assaulted her, because she's not his type, Donald Trump said. And then he was shown a photo of her and he goes, oh, that's Marla. That's Marla. Here, play this clip.
I think so, yes.
And do you recall when you first saw this photo?
At some point during the process, I saw it. That's, I guess, her husband, John Johnson, who was an anchor for ABC. Nice guy, I thought. I mean, I don't know him, but I thought he was pretty good at what he did. I don't even know who the woman. Let's see. I don't know who. It's Marla.
You say Marla's in this photo?
That's Marla. Yeah, that's my wife.
Which woman are you pointing to? No.
Here.
Carol.
Oh, is that,
The person you just pointed to was
I
E. Jean
see.
Carroll.
Who is that? Who is this?
And the woman on the right is your then wife,
I don't know.
Ivana?
This was the picture. I assume that's John Johnson. Is that
That's Carol.
Carol? Because it's very blurry.
Now, in your June 21...
And from the same deposition here, Donald Trump talks about the Access Hollywood tape where he was bragging about sexually assaulting women. And he's asked about it, and he goes, unfortunately, he says, or fortunately, this is what wealthy men can do. Or he says, or fortunately, this is something wealthy men can do. Here, historically, he says, play this clip.
And you say, and again, this has become very famous in this video, I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars.
It's true with stars that they can grab women by the pussy?
Well, that's what it's. If you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
And this was Donald Trump recently at the Young Republicans gathering, where he tells this story about how he claims a general came to him, and this is what the general said to him, how courageous he was regarding his statements that you just heard on the Access Hollywood tapes. And what I'm playing for you right now is a speech Donald Trump gave in the past 3 weeks. Here, play this clip.
But I went onto that stage just a few days later, and a general who's a fantastic general actually said to me, sir,
I've been on the battlefield. Men have gone down on my left and on my right. I stood on hills where soldiers were killed. But I believe the bravest thing I've ever seen was the night you went onto that stage with Hillary Clinton after what happened. And then that woman asked you the first question about it. And I said, locker room talk. It's locker room talk. What the hell? What are you talking? Locker room talk. That was not a great...
So Donald Trump's other posts, just so you know, on his social media platform, because he's just been on a tear this morning after those E. Jean Carroll posts. This is what he says. He goes, "The invasion through our southern border is for purposes of voting in the 2020 election. They are signing people up, would be the end of America." He's talking about the 2020 election, and right now it's 2024. I mean, wow. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a comment below. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers thanks to your support. And check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Thank you.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.
If it makes you feel any better, I have already put evac on alert. He's ready to go if it comes to that. General, I can assure you.
Hey, General, let me into the war room to see you, so I had to hack my way onto this frequency.
This better be critical, Wheelie.
So, come on, what is it now, please? Okay, couple of things. I wanted low on the double. I was thinking about taking a couple of months sick leave, maybe starting today. And, oh yeah, I intercepted a transmission from Megatron.
Then send it through.
Yes, sir, right away, sir. And so I was so damn good on me, let us know.
This is your last warning, insects. Relinquish what remains of the Allspark.
So who is the insect? You? What? Who's the insect?
Protect you. They were defeated on our world, and we will defeat them here.
This was just a diversion. Security, please bring up. Ravage, he's already inside. Deeds! Give me an update on that reserve. Boss readiness. What was his name? What was it?
Evac, sir.
Right, evac.
She's right in front.
We are facing a heavy sustained attack. They appear to be after the Allspark aircraft. General! General! Hold on. National security stand down! Check it out! Failed the mission celebration! The amateurs suicide mission!